What's the key to success? Well, founder of the Global Success Summit, Greg Secker, aims to give you the answers at this year's summit in Johannesburg. That's this weekend. He joins me now in studio, along with one of the speakers, wealth psychology expert, Andrew Barsa. Gents, thanks very much for coming in. And Greg, the speakers at the summit, quite diverse. They include Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak. We have motivational speaker and author John DeMartini. Of course, we have Andrew. And we also have Jordan Belfort and Francois Pienaar. How do you arrive at this mix of speakers?
Well, it's quite an eclectic mix, isn't it? And the real idea is, how do we make sure that we provide something for everyone? You know, for some people, they define success in terms of their financial wealth. For other people, it's how rounded they are, how good a parent they are, or how balanced their life is. And so we found, particularly with the South African audience, spirituality in this country seems to be more important than others. So somebody like Dr. John DeMartini, we had him speak at the Success Summit when we launched here in South Africa last year, and he was incredible. I mean, the connection he has with the audience. Now he moves his message from really raw spirituality to becoming wealthy, for example, and how he kind of bridges the two together is quite inspirational. So, you know, he's very important to have on board. And then somebody like that sort of, you know, guy done bad to sort of using the same tools and strategies to do really well, such as the Jordan Belfort, who is pretty much top of the box offices around the world now with the Wolf of Wall Street. You know, really we're giving his insights as to how he motivated a team of 1,000 salespeople to build arguably one of America's largest brokerages. You know, and how you as a business owner, say in Johannesburg, can use the same tools to become a decent, you know, all-star salesperson.
We're going to get back to Jordan Belfort in just a moment. Andrew, first of all, something that Greg said was he found South Africans more spiritual. Any reason for that?
Yeah, I think a lot of people in South Africa aspire to moving forward. I think it's really important for that. It comes from a background of, you know, great leadership, and it's allowed, you know, the country to liberate and move forward. And I think that's really important for South Africans.
Do you think, Greg, that people are coming to the summit hoping to get rich quick? So learning how to make money, because you're actually punting it as really about life balance. So it's about health, wealth, entrepreneurship and contribution, which I presume is philanthropy.
Yes. Yeah, I think everybody wants to get rich quick. I don't know of anybody who doesn't, but nobody likes that title or label. I think it's important, though, that, you know, as a promoter, which I am in this instance, we've got a responsibility to ensure that the message is balanced. And most importantly, to make sure that there are decent content speakers. There are a good balance of content speakers and not just people, you know, selling their products and programs, which of course you do have business opportunities there as well. But we wanted to make sure that there was quite a hardcore of people that are well respected in South Africa. So taking someone like a Francois Pienaar, who lives on to be, you know, an icon in this country for success, for pushing beyond the traditional boundaries of belief and leading his team forward. And I think, you know, whenever his message comes out, you know, I think for the South African audience, they can really associate with him.
Well, if you're looking at positive role models, though, Andrew, would you use Jordan Belfort as a positive role model? Because I think many of our viewers might have seen The Wolf of Wall Street, and very entertaining, but not all of it above board.
Yeah, I think what Jordan says, if you listen to a lot of his talks, he sends out the message that, you know, my strategies work. He used it in an unethical way at that specific time, but you can use the same method and use it in a positive way. So I think, you know, he's a very smart man, but he encourages people to use it for a good purpose.
I mean, you speak about positive role models that helps you in your career as a currency trader. Any big names that we should be looking out for that helps you get to where you are?
Well, we had Branson last year, who I think was probably my #1 role model. I've been fortunate enough to spend some time with him, with opening the Brand Centre for Entrepreneurship here in Joburg last year, and have him speak at our summits. And I do a lot of work with him around the world in our charities. We generate funds using currency trading and some of these motivational events to build schools here in South Africa. So we build a school, and then Richard's Virgin Unite team will then staff the school and train the teachers. And that's become a really decent symbiotic relationship between both of us, and it allows us to, you know, give a percentage of the profits that we make from an event like this to do good in the local area. So from this, we'll look to build schools north of Ulasaba, which is just the game reserve that Richard owns north of Joburg, and make a difference here.
So without giving too much away, Greg, what would you be telling currency traders or aspirant currency traders that come to this conference?
Well, #1 is don't try and trade the news. Most currency traders that try and trade the news don't understand. There are too many media outlets today, too much conflicting news that comes out on big news currency days. So people who try and trade their way through that often make big mistakes. do what the major currency traders around the world are doing, which they're looking for key signals on major currency pairs at specific times, and just really copy what they do. The real trick here is copying, and if the signal isn't available on the day, do nothing. What ends up happening is people go through a cycle of getting a little bit of confidence by copying the pros and then thinking that they're invincible and trying to do it themselves, and that's where it goes wrong.
I see you nodding, Andrew, and of course there is lots of psychology built into the market, so I'm sure you'll have something to tell the delegates.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, the markets are, you know, driven by fear and greed and emotion, and it's very, very important to desensitize yourself from that. And, you know, like Greg said, you know exactly what to do and when to do it is really the most important aspect. And I think that, you know, this applies for business and any aspect of life, really. When you know what to do and when to do it, and you've got specific, you know, vision and clarity, then success is on the cards.
Now, I read a magazine article that you were interviewed for recently, and you talk about how you're comfortable with risk, with reframing risk, and you don't get emotionally connected to money. And I should imagine that's a hard one, because I think many people in the markets are very connected to the money, particularly if it's their own. Greg?
Yeah, it is, and it's difficult, because if you are trading somebody else's money, it's easy to be blasé about it. I look at most traders that work in investment banks are rubbish compared to live-at-home traders, because live at home and work by your own trading profits have to make a success of it week in, week out. And the real key, as Andrew was just saying, was this emotional decouplement from the story. Most traders are literally bashing the markets, trying to guess what the euro is going to do next, or trying to guess what the rand's going to do next, and getting it all wrong. If you know the story, if you know the road ahead, and you know what's likely to happen because you've played the same trading strategies before, very much like watching a film, you know what's coming next, then you know how to emotionally prepare yourself to take advantage of the markets. You know, there's an old Wall Street phrase which is, scared money doesn't make money, and it's very easy to get emotionally freaked out when the market does something you're not expecting, and really expectation is really the mother of all skill with currency trading. So it's about playing a few game plays, if you like, in sport, which would be a great analogy, where you know exactly what's happening and you've seen that pattern happen before, and it tends to be on certain currency pairs at certain times in the day, and if those triggers take place, then play the game, because you know exactly how the game is most likely, not always, but most likely to roll out. Otherwise, you're playing outside of a story, and it's always a surprise, and most people say, well, they like a surprise, but really the truth is they only like a surprise that they like.
So do you think that delegates at the conference will get the same sort of message from Francois Pienaar as we're hearing from Greg at the moment?
I think, you know, every successful person has their own style and their own way in communicating, but I think the fundamentals are exactly the same. You know, every successful person tells you need to focus on what you want, and every successful person has done that. Unfortunately, the majority of people out there don't know what they want, and that's what they focus on, and that's what they get. So I definitely do agree that both parties will deliver a very, very powerful message.
Well, I'm afraid we have to leave it there, but I'm sure it's going to be a very interesting weekend for some delegates. Thanks very much for coming through.
Cheers,
Greg Secker is the founder of Global Success Summit, and Andrew Barsa, a wealth psychology expert.